Okay, hello, how's it going? Oh, back doing, oh jeez. Okay, how's that? Will that work? Let's get my left side, it's my beauty side. How's it going? Oh, geez, the water is so low. Amazing. Uh, it's amazing because it poured like hell yesterday. Oh, that's a little crooked. Yeah, it really poured yesterday. And I was coming up here. So yesterday was supposed to be my water walk day. Ooh, but it looks good, the water. So I was coming up. Oh, I have to do an advertisement. Okay, I'll tell you about this and then I'll do my little advert. I was coming up. It felt like rain and I had to do some kind of chores in the morning. So I was going late, right? So at this time of year especially, but actually always I try to go in the morning. But this time of year I try to go really early because it's usually later in the afternoon that the rain comes in. So anyway, it was coming up and then I was on the road and was spitting, right? And I thought, oh yeah, welcome to Water Walks. June 10th, 2019, 2564. 25, 64. Yeah, so I was coming up with spitting. I went, okay, spitting's okay. I've got my umbrella, you can see it there. I always carry that at this time of year. Thought, it should be fine. Just a few spits are okay. As I mentioned in my last water walk, for two reasons I don't like to come with heavy rain. Because, first of all, I don't want any groundwater to come into the little reservoir that comes here. Because, more bacteria and stuff can get into it. Just my theory, but I think it's solid. But also, during the heavy, heavy rains, there's some sections that are quite steep that are just that red dirt. It's basically like ice, Basically like ice when it's soaking wet. And with, 20 kilograms on my back, I don't want to be slipping and sliding with that on my back. I'm not trying to make a joke, but yeah, I don't want to do that. There's an ant in here, get out of there. Yeah, so I was coming up, I was maybe even halfway up to here and it just started pouring down, so I thought, better turn around, and I did. And it was already really quite slippery, but I made it down fine. And then I thought maybe later in the afternoon I could come back up, but no, it was spitting rain, like lighter rain for most of the day. But this morning's beautiful. It's cloudy with some blue sky, no rain. Might get rain later as usual, but anyway, yeah. Okay, so now I'm here today doing my water walk. Advertisement. Ooh, something biting me again. Okay, it's an ant. There's a few ants here. I have to be a little careful of insects because I'm wearing my kilt. Don't want bugs crawling up my legs, right? Anyway, yeah, so I'm doing an Indiegogo. I don't really talk about it a lot, but I practice kendo. And have done for a long time, since I was 20, but in my late sort of mid-20s, I took 4 years off for some reasons I won't go into at this moment. And then I started up again and I've continued more or less steadily. I mean, because of the nature of my life and being kind of somewhat nomadic and stuff, there's periods of times when I couldn't practice because I was in, roaming around with horses and stuff. Middle of the prairies. Not a lot of kendo out there. I mean, there are in the prairies. There's Regina and Saskatoon, but in the middle of a 100,000 acre native grass ranch or whatever, not much. Anyway, I ramble. This year I'm gonna stop doing this. So this year I have a third dan, which is in the karate. Dan grades are like black belt grades, so third dan. So it's really overdue for me to go for fourth dan now. So that's what I'm doing in August. As far as I know, that's when the grading is. It could change, but pretty sure that'll be it. So I want to go for fourth dan, but as a lot of people will know, who know me and also maybe watch my videos and stuff, they'd know that I'm sort of living on a shoestring, to put it mildly. But I'm not complaining. I love my life. I don't want to change it 1 second. However, things like travel and extra type things, it's impossible. Anyway, for what, better or for worse. Like people ask me, Thai people, so how often do you go back to Canada? I'm going, never. Are you kidding me? It's so expensive. Yeah. So that aside, that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing an Indiegogo fundraiser for my 4th Dan grading. It feels a little funny to do it for kendo. Like I've done lots of fundraisers for artistic projects and stuff, but kendo is an art, and it's probably the art that I'm most connected with. I mean, guitar making now is, I don't know. Anyway, I won't get into that conversation. I love them both. So, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll put a link below for the fundraiser if you'd like to have a look, and if you feel like contributing or sharing it around, please do. And I'm not looking for a huge amount. It seems like a lot to me, but hopefully I can raise that. And yeah. Anyway, I'll put a link below. And there's a really cool video with it, and it's kind of fun video. Anyway, some kendo and things. Anyway, there's a long blurb on the Indiegogo page I have, and you can read all about it. So that's okay. Advertisement done. Good. Get it over with. Yep. So now what? I don't know what to talk about now. I guess I could talk about kendo. I love kendo. It's difficult. It's challenging. Your whole life you can do it. There's recently Andy Fisher from Kendo Star put on a video of two 90-year-old, like one's 94 and one's 96, sensei doing some keiko. Oh my god, it's amazing. Can you imagine being 96? Anyway, it was beautiful, very beautiful. I know some people were commenting on it about, like, really, are those 8th Dan 90-year-olds, are they actually any good? I'm like, holy Jesus Christ, man. It's like, I mean, wow. I can't even imagine. I just stayed out of it, right? It's tempting to get into arguments, but I don't know what to say. It's like, Jesus Christ, if you're alive at 90, you should be happy, right? And if you're practicing kendo, anyway, whatever. That sounds too much like an excuse. It's not. But there's something. I don't know. It's an Asian thing, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into it because it's too contentious and it's too easy to say inappropriate things. Not that I would intend to, but maybe it's an generalization alert. An Asian thing to do with respecting age and things, and I don't know. Anyway, that was funny. That was weird. That aside, oh, there's a big leaf in here. Can't have that. Yeah, you see this? Even today, it's been about 12 hours since the last rainfall. And there's still bits of debris in there. Sometimes when I get home, I have a little cloth filter. I'll filter the water from here. Usually it's okay though. Like, it's looking really clear. Yeah, so anyway, so I'm practicing hard and working hard to get stronger for my grading, which has side benefits, right? Anyway, so this week it's 2 trips to get water. One of them unsuccessful. But excellent for exercise, strength, and endurance type exercise. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. I don't know what else to talk about, actually. I don't know what to say. Environmental stuff. Oh, it was a really nice chat with the guy that does, Kevin, I think his name is, does Black Bear News, and Jennifer Hines. If you don't know Jennifer Hines, and you're interested in stuff to do with climate, and she did these amazing, I think they're called Methane Monster, these terrific presentations on YouTube about the Arctic methane issue, you know, methane under the shallow seabeds in the Laptev Sea, East Siberian or West Siberian, one of the Arctic shallows by Siberia, very shallow, right? So the risk is of melting permafrost under the water, getting released from heat because it melts, and methane coming up. And if it's deep, that happens a lot in deeper waters, but it gets absorbed by the water before it reaches the atmosphere, from what I understand. But in the shallow seas, like some of them are 50 meters deep, right? There's a lot of thinking and observation that that's a different story altogether. There's not enough water to absorb all the methane, so it gets released to the atmosphere. Anyway, methane's a pretty intense greenhouse gas, as most would know. Anyway, so Jennifer Hines, yeah, so they had a wonderful chat. I listened to it twice through, actually. I posted it on Facebook, and maybe I'll put a link here to it. It's one thing that Jennifer pointed out. Anyway, it was a great conversation. I mean, just the conversation was great and wonderful to listen to. But one thing that she mentioned was this idea, like in terms of biodiversity loss, climate change, and all that it's this weird combination of everything's moving so fast, but also slow. Like slower than we expected, and also faster than we expected. That's not what she said, but I think that's the gist of it, you know? And that struck me as when, oh yeah, I get that. That's really interesting. But to me, I mean, it speaks on all kinds of levels, right? I mean, and for sure, for me, the tendency as humans to think time in a fairly linear fashion, not completely. Oh, and Jonathan Pageau did a couple of beautiful things about time and space. I'll link that too. There's going to be a whole bunch of links on this one. He did a beautiful thing about time and space and things. Anyway, but generally speaking, as humans, we have a tendency to really like linear time. We even make machines to register it, like our watches. Register it, to observe it, I guess. Yeah, so I'm always, the time issue is always interesting to me, and I guess for me, and you know, Guy McPherson often talks about happening very soon. I've said, always will say, I would never ever discount anything Guy has to say, because he's been at this for a long time. He's a conservation biologist. Anyway, I would recommend his stuff too if you don't know about him. So a little bit, some people have trouble with his work, but I think it's important to see he's doing really great work too. Or was that work? I guess it's work, but I want to use a different word. Anyway, so time. So like, here's for me, I always say, and I always think, you know what? It's happening. It's going to happen. This is all happening instantly, and it'll be done tomorrow. But tomorrow's a big word, right? It could be actually physically our tomorrow, like when the sun rises, that this sort of mayhem could come up to us, you know? But tomorrow, in 40 years, in terms of how it's the earth, that is also tomorrow, right? So from my own perspective, that's how I deal with that. For better or for worse, that's just how I do it. I'm not saying it's right, just so we're clear. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. That was a good talk. Also, a great talk with Jordan Peterson. It was a thing he talked about in Sydney. Well, he's controversial, but not to me, but to a lot of people I know. Anyway, it was a really good one. So, and it was about how can a person dare to believe in God? How's that for a clickbaity title? Anyway, it was really, really interesting talk, and interesting to me because of my sort of mildly mystical bent on things. you know, forest spirits and all that. Kami. I know that if I was Japanese, I would for sure I would be practicing Shinto. And maybe that's kind of what I do anyway. Anyway, but I don't want to do cultural appropriation. But maybe because I practice kendo, I can do that. Or maybe kendo's a cultural appropriation. Oh my god! Thank God I'm not in Canada anymore. Anyway, whatever, now I'm getting way off track. Yeah, mystical bent. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought. Shoot. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do a short one. I'm not going to do a walk on the trail today, because even though it's not raining, it's still a bit slippery, right? And I have to say, when I'm holding the bloody camera on the stick and have a walking stick to support myself, and slippery leaves and mud, having the camera just adds an extra distraction. So this is going to be, I was going to say it's going to be a short one, but it's already 16 minutes long, so I guess that is short for my wandering meanders. Oh, I was talking about Peterson. God, right. Okay, let me just, but towards the end of that speech was excellent, I thought, with, to do with, this is kind of a Jungian shadow type stuff, but the fact of authoritarian tendencies, that we have to be aware of them and push against them at all times, you know. And I know from his perspective, because he gets more flack from the left, right? I think from his perspective, he's seen that happening on the left, right? So I agree too. Of course, it's easy to see it on the right, right? Because there's all kinds of stuff coming up, and we're hearing a lot about sort of white supremacist type activities, groups and stuff. I'm sure, I mean, it's be in the minor level to be sure, but it doesn't take huge masses of people to get mayhem like that started, right? I guess. So, anyway, whatever, but, yeah, I sort of can't help but think sometimes when I see what's being put out as progressive stuff has a bit of a tinge of like authoritarian type thinking. I can't think of an example. I can think of one example. Like, I remember seeing someone's Facebook post on climate, who's a big climate person, who said something about we have to like regulate and control people so that we can save the planet and reverse climate change. I'm like, really? That's where you're gonna go? You think that kind of authoritarian type setup is gonna help the situation? No, I would say not. Anyway, that's a topic for another time. I'm gonna call this a day, and please have a look at my Indiegogo site. If you made it this far, I'll add another advert. Have a look, and if you feel like contributing a little bit, please do. And don't worry if you can or don't want to, it's fine. Okay, so hope everyone's doing great, and have a great day, or evening, or whatever it happens to be. Ciao. Okay, so this, you can file this under helpful tips for hiking in the forest in here. So here's an example of a fairly steep bit that's all just red mud, right? This looks brown here, but well, okay, we'll just say it's sort of red mud. Anyway, what does happen, I find, like this morning, let's see if I can do this and not kill myself. And I want to say it's better now after the rain. We'll see. Oops, my finger's in the way. Can't have that. So I find what happens is, like, it's with the heavy rain, it's kind of washed off all the fine muddy layers. So now, I don't know if you can see that. to a little more granular, like a little stony type, granular type stuff. So I noticed that when I was coming up, it's actually more grippy than normal. So there you go. Like many things in life, it's never one thing, right? So the heavy rain in the middle of it, there are going to be sections that are just basically like, with a big load on your back, you're asking for big trouble. But then the next day, it's better than it was. Like if that isn't a metaphor for life, just what is? Do you know what I mean? Like it's perfect, I think. Things are never exactly what you, well, they're partly what you expect, and a lot of times what you don't expect, right? Oh look, you can see my kilt. Let's do this shot. Alright, so I love walking in the kilt actually. Here, only certain times it really works. This is a pretty lightweight one. It's not even pure wool, right? To blend. But it's perfect for here. There you can see this, that sound. Here's sort of gravelly. That's the little stones. Let's see about this one. This is another really steep bit. It's short, but and they got little steps, but it doesn't mean much when they're so. Yeah, so you can see little stones of. What happens is the rain washes the mud away, but leaves the little stones. Quite handy. Anyway, yeah. So I love walking in the kilt. Here, though, of course, in the summertime, it's just a little too hot. A little too hot. Maybe we'll just take it to here. You can have this nice view. I've just come off the trails into the middle part of the village. But for a good part of the year, I can wear the kilt though, so it's really nice. And there we go. This is a good way to finish this off. View over. Yeah. There we go. Someone's burning some wood or something down there. And where my place is just here, around this tree here. The road winds down there and it's down a little bit from there. And it's probably about 1 kilometer from where I am right now. Anyway, there you go. Beautiful blue sky. Chai. Okay, chokti, ciao.